Hi there. I had the good fortune this evening of attending the Summer Solstice Indigenous Music Awards, and it really was a wonderful event. How to everybody involved with that. It was really inspiring to see so many talented, beautiful Indigenous people come together in such a good way and use their voices to speak out, raise awareness of Indigenous issues, ask for the protection of our Mother Earth. It was wonderful and inspired me to make this video number 3. If you'd care to see the other videos, please watch and share. That would be really good. So this one is a quick update. I haven't heard anything further from either parties, the Ottawa Writers Festival or Dr. Gormate, or even the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation. Although, it's my understanding just from browsing around on the internet that Dr. Gabor Mate is no longer a guest speaker at the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation, which is so he's on a European book tour for his new book, which was called The Myth of Normal, Trauma, Illness, and Healing in a Toxic Culture. Well, we really are in a toxic culture, aren't we? Where now it's the Ottawa Writers Festival with such a lofty mandate, and Dr. Gabor Mate, a world-renowned healer who has done so many good things for Indigenous peoples, as has the Writers Festival, and of course this National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation. And now the venue that this event was held at, I reached out to, what are they called? Christchurch Cathedral, the Anglican Church, and they have a wonderful, speaking of all the actions that they've taken for truth and reconciliation. Anyway, so I reached out. My hope was that they would add their voice to mine and recognize that this incident is a prime example of systemic racism and help take actions to correct it, or at least do something. And I spoke with a wonderful gentleman on the phone, and he assured me, oh yes, we really do take truth and reconciliation very seriously, and he seemed quite sympathetic to what I was saying and how I was feeling. So I asked for, please do a follow-up and let me know how that conversation goes with the International Writers Festival. And I waited over a month. So I called him back, and it would seem we have different definitions of taking truth and reconciliation seriously. I'm not coming from a place of anger. My heart is not full of hate. But how many times do you have to spell it out? How many times do you have to bring it to somebody's attention? And these are seemingly good people doing good things. And yet they still, as Dr. Bormate says in his book, the machine protects itself, and that's just what's happening here. The reason I made the video number 1 was not too long after the incident at the Writers Festival. I heard on CBC Radio that CSIS had tabled the idea that the Indigenous land defenders that answered the call out for support from the Wet'suwet'en who are trying to protect their land, their waters, and their way of being, because they were really under attack and are still under siege to this day, But the idea was tabled that these land defenders were terrorists. And I was horrified and scared. Here we go again. People in this power, people in power of this so-called Canada are taking steps to take Indigenous people away again. And this time not just our children. They took our children for 100 years under this residential school policy. Imagine for a minute your child being ripped from your arms and you may never see them again. Imagine if you'd been to residential school and brutalized in horrible ways, physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually, as a child. So to these 3 men that I am referring to, Sean Wilson, Dr. Gabor Mate, and this reverend, this man of God that I spoke to at the church, that assures me they take truth and reconciliation very seriously. How do you not see that this is systemic racism? If they had just allowed me to speak, and that's the ridiculous thing. I went there to say thank you. If it wasn't so horrifying, it would be funny. An Indian walks into a church to say thank you, holy, It I'm exhausted. So I think I'm going to call it a day. Watch for video number 4 because I'm sure there'll be another one. But I hope it can be about something else because there's been some positive step taken to acknowledge and correct this wrong. A good friend asked me, well, what do you want them to do? I want them to acknowledge it. I want them to take good steps to acknowledge the truth, because there must be truth before there can be reconciliation. And what does that mean? Well, the Ottawa Writers Festival could make their events available to Indigenous peoples in the community. And I know Dr. Gabor Mate has done good work for the Indigenous people in raising awareness from the readings that I've done of his. And it must have been quite a shock to be called racist and apathetic. To you, I would ask you, what were you afraid of? How did you not see a good way out? I would have just went like, hey, here's one right now. I'm here to say thank you. Express my gratitude. I even made a gift. Anyway, into the church, I would say, I challenge your idea of taking truth and reconciliation seriously, and I welcome a dialogue.